Welcome to motherfucking Uninfluenced. I'm going to take over the intro today because Matt's doing some important banking on his phone while we start this off, and we couldn't wait 30 seconds. So
yeah, I'm
today,
banking his dick.
That's right, banking that ass. So today, this episode is our Q&A, our weekly Q&A, which we appreciate all of the questions that you guys have submitted. There's some really good ones, and they are getting more and more in terms of volume and caliber of questions. So keep that shit up. We appreciate it. And if I can get right into it, I'll read the first one. What is the location of the car meets that you talk about? Well, John, it depends. You know, they're at different places pretty much every weekend. But if you go on the Park Up Front app and sign, you got to sign up. And I encourage you to anyway, but there's a good crew of dudes that run those shows, and they put a lot into it, and it's not super expensive. It's not like they're making a ton of money. So, we like to support them and encourage anybody listening to do the same. But the Park Up Front app, and then just whatever location you're in, that's the best way to get the details on where and when and all that stuff. So that's the deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt and Mike, love your podcast. I'm a big fan from the UK. Quick question for your Monday podcast, please. If money was no object and you could buy a second Ferrari, would you go SF90 LaFerrari, or would you go for something old school like a 275 GTB for the nostalgia and raw sounding engine? I already know your answer.
Yeah, it's LaFerrari.
All day long, LaFerrari for you. Man, for me, to have a second one, I mean, considering what I just replaced the 911 with, I don't know. I don't think so, but it's hard to say. Instead of a 275 GTB, I'd actually be more interested in the new 296 GTB. If I was going to get another Ferrari, I would probably actually rather do that than an SF90. If you look at the metrics, because it's such a it's a lighter car and it's rear wheel drive only, and it's a V6, and it's supposed to be super responsive, have a massive hard-on giving exhaust note that they spent a lot of time developing and wanting it to sound really, really good in classic Ferrari. And also looking at the 100 to 200 kilometers per hour time, the difference between the SF90 and the 296 GTB is only 0.2 seconds. If that's accurate, which I have a hard time believing it is, but if it is, that means that thing is noticeably faster than a Pista, but lightweight rear wheel drive, sounds really fucking good and almost as fast. I mean, close enough to where you're probably not going to notice the difference in speed between an SF90 and a 296 GTB. It's a third of the price, or at least well under half, even if you option the shit out of it. And so even with money not being an object, I think I'd still rather try that new 296 GTB over an SF90. And one thing to add, I am not an old school Ferrari guy at all. The oldest school Ferrari I would even consider owning is a 458 Speciale. And even that, I'd probably have to supercharge it or twin turbo it. Even as fun as it is and as good as it sounds, I just don't think it's fast enough to scratch that itch for me.
Yeah, I'm big on technology. The LaFerrari is an older car, but it was a little ahead of its time for
way ahead.
Yeah,
for that matter. But
yeah, it's and it's still really good tech today, especially for Ferrari. And it's a fucking LaFerrari. Me, I wouldn't buy a red one. I'm not a big fan of red, but I've seen a few white on blacks, and then there was a black on black not too long ago. That was a bad bitch.
Remember that one that was that Argentino silver,
yeah,
that light silver that looks really fucking good with a black stripe. That shit looked fucking awesome.
Yeah, because the silver with Ferrari, with their body lines, I would say McLaren does a good job when you see a good silver McLaren.
Yeah,
they're so liquid looking because of their body lines, and I mean the paint looks wet if it's taken care of all the time. And to me, it's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah.
He had another question too. if you could be president for a day, you could bring in one law that would go into effect immediately, what would it be? Abortion age, 18 years old.
Yeah. For me, I guess it would mandate that laws follow the Constitution. Instead of having one singular mulligan, if you will, I would rather make a law that says any laws have to be based off of the Constitution and have to fall in line with it, and not the way you interpret the Constitution, not the way that you think our founding fathers meant it. The legitimate purist, version of the Constitution is how I would like to see all laws based off of. But
yeah, I could agree with that. So I want to ask you, because I'm looking at the screen, and on that screen, you have to download the images right there. You don't have to do it, but look. So I like you use the word mulligan, and
that's fucking great. I didn't even see that.
So
that's fucking awesome.
The guy who asked the questions, an actual PGA manager and a PGA pro. So
yeah.
That's why I kept kind of looking at the screen. I'm like, I can see it. Can you see that? So it was pretty cool. You used the word mulligan in there.
That's awesome. I didn't even notice. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, the laws, I'm with you. I think we need to take it back old school, and some of the laws that were originally put into place should stay in place and be held true to what they are, not adapted over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. I do know that there are certain circumstances where we need to adapt because the shit's so old. Like, you can't let your horse stay at the trough too long. That's some of the dumb laws we have. But I want to let my horse stay there as long as it fucking wants.
I think that's code for, getting after it. Mm-hmm. You can't let your horse stay at the trough for too long.
Mm-hmm. I let my horse stay at the trough for too long. That's why she's pregnant now. On to the next one. Oh yeah, we're not saying the name. Hey guys, a few questions here. Y'all touched on Monday's episode. Matt and Mike, where do you stand on societal ideas? Oh, by the way, I suck at reading. Like universal health care. I know you most likely are against it, but why? You want to answer that right away, or you want to continue the question?
Yeah, I mean, in the interest of not breaking it up, or in the interest of breaking it up and not running it together. Universal health care. Why am I against it? There's a long answer and the short answer. And in the interest of brevity, I'm going to say the short answer is the open market, no different than any other industry. I know it breeds competition, healthy competition. And when businesses compete for your business, that's where ingenuity and overcoming problems and really, really brilliant ideas come from, because they have to. What stifles creativity and competition is there's no winners, and that's the biggest problem I have with universal health care. And I think that's honestly what most people who are against its problem with it is not so much that the picture that gets painted being, oh, you just don't want poor people to have health care. Like, do you really think that that's the fucking case? Because it's not. What is the case is that, having spent enough time in a VA hospital and been in enough other countries that have legitimately socialized universal health care, is that it's not good. In fact, it's not even adequate in most cases, because there's no incentive for the doctors, the nurses, the clinicians, what have you, to do a really good job, because A, their job doesn't depend on it, and their pay doesn't increase whether they do a phenomenal job or a fucking terrible job. And again, I can tell you from experience, most of the staff, with very rare exception, that are in VA hospitals are there because they couldn't get hired by regular hospitals, civilian private sector hospitals. So not all of them, but most of them, and there's a ton of examples of doctors who frankly shouldn't even be allowed to practice fucking medicine, that can't get hired because they fucked up or did something illegal or whatever in private sector hospitals that are now working for the VA. There's a lot of accidents. There's a lot of malpractice. And there's just a very substandard level of care in most cases that makes me, really understand that when the incentive to do a good job doesn't exist, people aren't going to do a fucking good job. Yes, there are some people that they just give a shit and they go work there because they want to work with vets. There are those people, that are phenomenal doctors, surgeons, whatever, but those are exceptions. And so if you do that on a broad scale nationally, I think that is a pretty good template because it's here in the United States with American patients and doctors and staff and what have you, that that would show you how miserable it can be. Take Canada and the UK as an example. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't pay for anything, and I had this, and I got into the doctor, and blah blah blah." I've got clients in both of those places. That in each case or in every case, that yes, they can get health care for nothing technically, even though their taxes are way higher, and they end up paying for it collectively even more than you would with privatized health care. But the level of care sucks, and the Canadian client of mine comes to America for every fucking thing that's more important than routine blood work or a checkup or whatever. For any procedure, for anything that's important or that he needs done fast, he comes here for it. There are some exceptions, but I've talked to him about it on multiple occasions, and he's like, if you have a fuck ton of money, you can get in quick, or you can get good levels of care in some ways. But for your average everyday paycheck to paycheck folks out there, they get the short end of the fucking stick with universal health care most of the time.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up pretty well.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not against poor people having insurance. A lot of people, like you said, that's what the first thing they think. You're against it because you don't want the poor having. No, that's
no. I want everybody to be taken care of, but they got to have some skin in the game on the doctor and hospital side. Reading the second part of the question, it falls in line, so I'll get right into that. When you hear things like the cost of surgery medicine in America compared to, say, Canada, it makes for an interesting combo. To me, that's the interesting thing is that, it's way cheaper, but you may wait a year and a half to get it. And when you get it, it may be some dude that barely knows what the fuck he's doing. I know that there are exceptions. I know that that's not every case, but more often than not, that is the case. There are a treasure trove of stories of people that, had cancer and died waiting to get operated on, or couldn't even, women that couldn't get in to get a fucking mammogram in time and ended up with stage 4 breast cancer because they sat around waiting. I know there are examples where that's not the case, but there are a ton of examples where that is the case. And so I agree in that it's not perfect here, but I also think the biggest reason that's in our nation's control as a citizen is taking care of yourself. Yes, insurance companies are fucked up. The way that the government subsidizes a lot of that stuff is fucked up and incentivizes them to raise prices, and insurance companies working with hospitals the way that they do incentivizes price hikes. But one thing that is out of their control, that's in our control, that actually would make the biggest difference, in my opinion, is people taking care of themselves. There is no formula that if your society has the majority of it that's obese, that's high risk for cancer, for heart disease, for fucking diabetes, these quote unquote comorbidities that typically are what wipes people out that get COVID. People that have those things, those are lifestyle choices, right? And shitty lifestyle choices are what makes healthcare the most expensive. So you can blame other people and you can say, oh, it's the insurance companies, while you're wolfing down Snickers bars and chain smoking until you pass out at night. But the fact is that most people's health is a direct reflection of shitty personal choices that now the rest of the fucking country has to pay for. So, to me, people need to take a more active role in their own shit that way.
Yeah, and I miss chain smoking until I pass out.
Chain vape till you pass out.
Chain vape like a motherfucker. I think it would be hilarious for both of you to talk about OnlyFans.
I mean, what is there to talk about?
I mean, I'll simplify it for you, and it basically goes into. I'm not going to read it all, but does it mess with society? Blah blah blah. And this guy apparently knows a lot of chicks that do OnlyFans or their friends do. First off, congratulations. But me personally, let's be serious here. Am I going to risk my wife finding me on a computer looking at OnlyFans or on my phone looking at OnlyFans?
Would she be pissed?
I don't think she'd be pissed. I think she'd be pissed if I spent the $20 when knowing good God and damn well I can get on Pornhub for free. Mm-hmm. And to me, I'd rather go on Pornhub and instead of watching this chick just show me pictures of her titties for $20. Pornhub, I could watch this bitch fuck for free.
So you have more of an economic viewpoint on it, right?
Yeah, I'm going to save my money and look at free titties and ass.
Yeah. I mean, for your question, where do you guys stand on the morality and legality of such a website?
I don't care.
To me, that there's, ultimately, I think you got to let people do what the fuck they want to do, and I don't think the government should dictate whether or not people do that. Now, do I think it's a good idea? No, I don't. And not even so much from a morality standpoint in the sense that you're seeing a woman's whatever.
Yeah.
For me, it's more about there's an irony, and I watched a podcast. I don't know, last week maybe, just for a few minutes that touched on this a little bit. So I'm paraphrasing a bit and copying or regurgitating some of what I heard on here, but I'd never thought of it that way, and it made a lot of sense. But the gist of it was that the OnlyFans mentality coupled with the feminist gender is a state of mind, toxic masculinity agenda that gets pushed has created a pretty dangerous environment in our country. I don't think it should be illegal. I think this is where parents come in and people need to teach their kids what the fuck. But the gist of it is that, if young girls grow up thinking men are evil, right? Even your dad is a fucking patriarch, archetype example of a toxic masculine prick. What is your expectation then of every interaction that you're going to have with a man as you get older? You're going to have a very, very biased and preconceived notion as to what that guy is all about. That's number one. Number two is on the transverse of that, if you couple that with a glorified aspect of your body and what people pay attention to you for, which is Instagram, OnlyFans, Snapchat, and what is it? Send fucking nudes, right? Mm-hmm. Is that you're being told men are evil and you're seeing women that are being overwhelmingly glorified and successful by objectifying themselves, right? It's not men doing it, right? It's ultimately it's women because they're making the decisions to actually put themselves out there that way. The irony of this is that it basically creates an environment that's the exact opposite of what the intention is for most feminist and progressive members of our society are trying to accomplish. Men are evil and power the women and I'm going to show my ass and it's fine and it's whatever. It's like, okay, but realize that's the generation of young women that are being raised have that mentality that basically having kids is a fucking transaction, and you're essentially a legalized prostitute at that point. Is that, men are evil and the only reason I'm going to fucking put up with one is to have children maybe, and I'm going to show my ass and do whatever, I want to get to where I want to be. Now, let me take a step back here. I'm going to reiterate, I don't give a fuck what you guys do. I don't care what anybody does, and I don't think it should be illegal. I just think people should realize the consequences that do exist with some of those things. They are what they are, and they create an environment that is what it is. And so while I don't think it should be illegal, I just think people should think about that. And I also want to take a step back and saying, no, I know that not every fucking woman has an OnlyFans. In fact, I don't know a single woman that I know of that has an OnlyFans that I know them personally. So for sure, way more women don't have them than have them. But I think the thing that I see with a lot of young kids nowadays is they have a very skewed perception of reality in terms of how many people in the world do certain things, whether it's transgenderism or, pronoun preference, or, people who are into fucking furries or whatever it is, is that the representation of that type of stuff, the fraction of a percent to up to maybe 3% of the population in any given metric, is that's being way overblown in social media as being normal and regular, and that's what most people have or prefer or whatever. And so, these kids grow up seeing all these different things and being told what they're told, and I think it makes for a pretty shitty, toxic environment generationally as they grow up. And I think that's where it comes in to where it's really important for parents as they raise kids to be mindful of that and combat those ideologies at home. I feel like I'm long-winded as fuck. I've been talking the whole time, but
no. Well, if you had shitty points, I'd be like,
well, if you'd shut the fuck up.
Yeah, if you had shitty points, I'd be like, hey man, you just need to shut the fuck up.
Let me take the next one.
No, I mean I agree with that, but the OnlyFans, I see it as these chicks are being smart, and if guys are dumb enough to pay for it, and they're making, some of these girls are making god awful amount of fucking money,
millions a month.
Yeah, and I've already said, it's been said multiple times, if I'm a chick, I'm gonna be doing some crazy shit online if I can make 6 fucking figures, and that's just me. If a guy or a girl is gonna pay me when they could literally Google the shit and get it for free, I'm gonna make my money.
Yeah,
less work. I mean, if I could do 30 minutes of finger blasting and make a fucking 100,000, fuck, split that shit up into 5 sessions, be done.
For me, I wouldn't, but that's just me.
He's going to be a pure one. Wait till marriage.
No, I wouldn't do that either. But I just wouldn't.
But
for me, that wouldn't be me.
Again, as a father, I would hope my daughter never has an OnlyFans. That's just my fucked up way of thinking. I
don't knock. You probably hear me go on that rant and think, that I'm against it. I'm ultimately not. I still think you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be illegal, irrespective of morality or legality. I think it should be legal. And to me, the morality aspect, again, that falls on the parents for bringing their kids up a certain way, in my opinion.
Yeah. And there are some chicks that are so hot that God bless you. What's y'all's daily/weekly workout routine and nutrition? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't worked out in about 6 months, and my nutrition sucks ass, which I've came to a head on that today, and I'm flipping it around. When I am being nutritious, though, I'm more of a carnivore, more meats and less carbs type, because I still feel like I'm eating, and I'm getting full. I eat more. I'll eat 4 to 5 meals with a lot of proteins and fats and stuff like that, and cut carbs. Yeah. That's just me. And then my workout stuff, with my age, it's going to have to be getting away from weights, because it seems like every time I really put pressure on my joints and stuff, it starts to hurt really bad.
Yeah, I think the key with that is lighter weight and more reps.
Yeah.
And I, in that, like, I still lift. To the question, like, my workout routine is I roll jujitsu 2 or 3 days a week, and then I lift 2 or 3 days a week, depending on what my schedule is. The lifting is provided by Mitch and Christine of SummaFit in Utah. They do my programming. You can Google SummaFit or find them on Instagram. They're a great couple out of Utah that does like personalized programming, and it's awesome. You can make adjustments, and they listen to everything you need really well, and check in and all that kind of good stuff. But in terms of nutrition, it also depends on how hard I'm working out. Similarly, like if there are weeks where I'm out of town or super busy and I'm not working out, then I try to throttle the carbs back quite a bit. When I am working out and rolling several days a week and lifting several days a week, staying active, jumping in a bite suit, or just being active, working dogs throughout the day, then I do absolutely eat carbs, but I try to structure it where I eat mostly protein and fat for the first 2/3, 3/4 of the day, and then I'll take some carbs in later in the day, at least in the afternoon or even at dinner, typically, or take more of them in, because the glycogen replenishment helps you sleep better. It's good for your brain. It's good for your liver and for your muscle tissue. Doesn't make you feel kind of flat and and almost dehydrated the way super low carb diets tend to do for me. I've tried that and it just doesn't work for me if I'm working out hard. I have to have some carbs to get that replenishment glycogen wise. But so that's how I like to do it. But again, it's based, or it varies based on how active I'm staying or not.
What is your carb of choice? Like if you're
Probably potatoes.
Yeah,
potatoes or rice. Those two things are
you
my
do
favorite.
a jasmine or a long grain or a whole grain?
I mean, for me, like the sticky jasmine rice is for sure my favorite.
That's my favorite, yeah.
But
yeah, when I was really big into working out like 5 days a week and pushing heavy ass weight, I mean, I was eating shit loaded jasmine rice. I mean, I had a trainer who was making my meal plans, and it was rice with coconut oils and chicken, and my breakfast wouldn't even have eggs in it. Sometimes it was all shit. I was like, man, this is a dinner.
Yeah.
And then he'd tell me, when you go to bed, you get a big ass tablespoon, dip it in some peanut butter, and you take that right before bed.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And he explained that can help. Peanut butter is a good way to speed up your metabolism. Plus, it slowly goes through your body. And I'm like, huh.
Yeah,
Plus, it makes you feel like you got a little dessert.
Yeah, no, I mean, peanut butter, in terms of speeding up your metabolism, I mean, there's a lot of what I would consider misconceptions that way, is that, activity and muscle tissue are the things that do that more than anything. But the, to me, the benefit to doing something like that is just is feeling satiated through the night and not waking up at 3 a.m. because your stomach is having hunger pangs and you're fucking miserable. I mean, that sucks,
That shit sucks.
But yeah, I would say I do eat some fruit too, not a ton, but I like, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, mango, banana, that's about it. But
yeah. So this one,
you're a little behind the power curve on the next question.
What the hell happened to Zach? Laugh out loud. Everybody wants us to give some weird story of Zach came in and fucked shit up, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case. We're making the choice to go a different direction. We have a vision, and our vision is to be able to bring you the podcast content with great video, great audio. But outside of that, we want somebody who can adapt to work on the car stuff that we both enjoy, cars, motorcycles, and our daily routine. And just the past few editors and producers we've had aren't bringing us what we feel is going to get us to the level that you guys deserve. At least that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the short answer is nothing bad.
Yeah,
it's just we have a very specific criteria of what we're looking to bring to the table, and that's how we choose who we choose. So I mean, that's it.
And yeah, we look at this as a business, and still to this day, I have nothing against Zach, nothing but love for Zach. Hope the guy's doing well. So that's it.
What's the scariest situation either of y'all have been in the wilderness / animals? I know Mike has some cool dog stories, but what has Matt gotten into?
Hunting wise, I mean, I've been hog hunting a few times, and both times that I've been hog hunting, no bullshit, afterwards in 2 different areas, the landowners came up. Hey, y'all didn't happen to see that fucking mountain lion running around here? I was like, what the fuck you talking about? Mountain lion, bro?
Yeah.
You mean bobcat? No, mountain lion. We got a mountain lion, and there was the one. It wasn't far from where we're at right now either. And he shows me on his game cam, this motherfucking mountain lion. This is a big motherfucker. Yeah. And the Jeep we were in, we go back and there's paw prints of that motherfucker where he'd walked by the Jeep.
Yeah.
50 yards from where my ass is sitting there hunting. And I'm like, that'd have been cool to know before we got into this. But I mean, wilderness animals, that's about the most I've done.
So I have, go ahead.
I was going to say, you probably got some cool shit.
Well, I mean, so I have 3 that come to mind. I'll try to be brief with them because I know we're not even through the first fucking email. But so when I was in high school, I went camping with my best friend at the time. God rest his soul. He's dead now. But we went up in the Boundary Waters. One night we had a kind of a gnarly storm and heard shit rustling around or whatever, but didn't think much of it. Woke up the next morning and there was a big pile of bear shit right next to the tent. And we were several days from where our vehicle was parked. And so didn't really sleep worth a fuck the rest of the time there. Didn't see them or run into them, but it was right outside the door of the tent, and that scared the shit out of me, especially as a 16-year-old. The other two were in the Navy. One was in Buds, where the boat crew that I was in first phase, we were doing some paddling of the little IBS boats from the SEAL compound or the Buds compound down to the Hotel Del Coronado, and the surf was long, so we had to go quite a ways out to sea to get past the surf zone to head north and head up that way. And when we were out there was actually a killer whale that came right up next to the boat. Didn't fuck with us, but you see a black and white 3.5 foot dorsal fin fucking squirreling around next to us, and then disappears right, goes under right next to the boat. And we were just motherfucker. Again, didn't do shit, but was a fucking ass pucker moment for sure. And then we were doing gas and oil platform takedowns in Los Alamitos, California, which is off the coast of California. Just practicing, VBSS, visit board search and seizure from boats taking down oil rigs. Part of that training is diving in on them. So you got 16 dudes on a painter pole, all on rebreathers underwater, diving in at night to run up to these pilings, run a line across, attach all your shit to it, blow and go and come up and then assault the fucking target. But right before we were getting in the water, you have a diving supervisor, which everybody gets their mouthpieces in and spends a couple of minutes making sure that their system is working properly so that you're not, an over imbalance. Excuse me. Fuck, I'm boring myself with this fucking story. That you don't breathe in too much CO2, or that, everything's working right and you're not going to get in the water and pass out in 30 seconds and fucking drown. And so we all have our mouthpieces in, and we're just getting ready to get in the water, and he's standing facing us. We're looking this way, he's looking this way, and you see this big ass shark fin come up like 15, 20 feet off the fucking starboard side of the fucking boat. And similarly, you can tell the difference between a dolphin and a shark. Dolphins go up and down, sharks go side to side. Motherfuckers going side to side and then just disappears. And I'm not shitting you, like comedic timing. He could not have timed it any better. It's like the second the tip of the fin goes all the way under the water, he's like, all right, let's get in the water. And we're all like, motherfucker. We got in the water. Never saw it. Didn't fuck with us. But, that's just one of the things, like in the military, there are a lot of instances like that where you got to really grab a hold of your nuts and do shit that is fucking scary. Plain and simple, but
yeah, fuck that.
Yeah,
that's when I would have rung out. So I'm like, fuck this shit. Crazy girls, funny breakup stories, how to deal with a crazy ex. Well, I don't have a bunch of crazy girls. Well, I guess I did. When I was younger, I was messing with a chick who was trying to make out with me after I was throwing up drunk. A crazy ex, it's simple. If you don't want to deal with somebody, and I deal with this people or ex or whatever, I just stop fucking dealing with them. Unless, well, I'm not going to get into ex-wives and all that, but crazy ex-girlfriends, yeah, just fucking don't talk to them.
Yeah.
Fucking simple. I don't know about you. You got anything?
So here's one thing where you're welcome to ask. When it comes to personal relationships, for me, that's just something I'm just not going to talk about, period. So closed book on that. It's one of the few things that I won't talk about, but that I won't talk about. Similarly, how to deal with a crazy anything, don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Next.
You guys.
Yeah. I just listened to episode 61. As always, show delivered and was great. My question is this. Do you think your view on the Porsche being without personality a little subjective?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Everything's
everything's subjective.
Our opinions on every fucking question we answer is subjective.
Yeah. Some people may love the Porsche more than we love the Porsche. Some people hate a Ferrari more than we hate a Ferrari. And I say this all the time, and I even mention this to Mike a lot. This is why I love fucking cars, is because you don't have to love what I love for us to love doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And to me, that's fucking great. I've said Matter of fact, editor asks me a good car, and I'll tell him an R8, GT3 RS, and a GT3. Are those good cars for me right now? Not for me right now.
Yeah.
That don't mean they're not good cars, and it don't mean I'm going to be like, you got a bitch car. No, I still think those are 3 damn good fucking cars. It's just, for me right now, they're not where I want to be. 5 years from now, I may just be rolling around in a GT3 fucking hanging out. I mean, it's a great balanced vehicle.
You may be in a Turbo S that's got 1,000 horsepower because it's a hybrid.
Yeah. I mean,
who fucking knows?
You never know.
Yeah. I will say I love this question. I'll finish reading it. Is that, do you think your reviews may be biased due to you owning and loving all things Ferrari? I'm sure that there are guys that love the 911 and think the Pista is lacking in the personality department. In all fairness, I'm just a nobody who doesn't even own a sports car, let alone a supercar, and for sure wouldn't know the difference. I bet you would if you got in them. Mm-hmm. Just curious, not a criticism or saying that, saying you're not being honest in your reviews. Also, have you guys thought about doing gun reviews? I'd be curious to hear different opinions, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll talk about the gun thing here in a second. Mm-hmm. Agreed. Like, of course they're biased. We all have our own biases. I would say that I disagree with you on owning and loving all things Ferrari. I don't. I love the fucking Pista. I drove the SF90. I didn't love it. I liked it, didn't love it, especially for the money. I would say that if you, I don't think that you would find anybody, even if they prefer the 911 over the Pista, that would say they love the 911 and they don't like the Pista because the 911 has more personality. I don't think you would ever find somebody that would say that. It would be, the Pista has too much of that raw flair, emotion, exhausted nature with which you drive that car, and it connects you to the driving experience, unlike honestly any other car I've had. Now I could see this fucking new purple People Eater doing the same fucking thing, and just the quick fucking spin I took around in it, that's going to be a fun motherfucker to drive. There's no two ways about it, but they are not for everyone. And for that matter, you know, to your point, even like they weren't for me when I first got into these cars. I liked the R8, the 911, the more refined and comfortable and relaxed and not jam a foot up your ass to race type of cars. I loved those and preferred them. This is also the second 911 that I had. Mind you, I had the 911 before I got the Pista, right? And then I got one after I had a Pista, and they both went away. So it's not a bias of like, oh, you had the Ferrari first and you liked it. I had a 911 before I had a Ferrari. You know, and I got the 992 because I knew how big of a jump up it was from the 991. And it's still, even as good of a car as it is performance-wise, it's just not what I wanted. There are a lot of people who that's exactly what they want, and it's the perfect car for them, and I'm fucking happy for them. Mm-hmm. For that matter, I think even you would agree, is like I wanted to love the 911. Oh, yeah. Fuck, I bought 2 of them. You know, I just didn't. You know, I wanted to love it and tried, and it just wasn't what I liked. You know, so, but like you said, that's the beauty of it. That's why there are all these different car manufacturers that make what they make and sell what they sell, is because different people have different personalities.
And also touching on that, saying we love all things Ferrari, I like Ferrari's design on a lot of things. To me, the Pista, we always refer back to the Pista because that's became a pinnacle car for Ferrari. It's one of the top echelon cars. It's up there with the 458 Speciale, the F12 TDF. These are special cars. 488, I had one. I didn't love it. And the reason I didn't love it is because I drove that Pista. He had a 488. Didn't love it. Matter of fact, had it 2 weeks. Didn't love it. The new car I got, I honestly could have bought the 812 Superfast that I've been talking about over and over again. And I literally sat down and started thinking, and I think I shot it across to you and I shot it to my wife because those are my 2 sounding boards when I'm looking at these. I think the 812 would have gave me cool excitement for sound, a little bit for power, but the handling we both want out of a car, it's not going to be there. So saying all things Ferrari, I think y'all get confused that we're all Ferrari all the time, and that's not truly the case. We both love that fucking Pista. That piece is a it's a fucking work of art.
To me, it's a masterpiece of a car.
Yeah,
you know? And there's nothing else I would say that about, with maybe the exception of the 765 and
you want to get in those specialty lines. And to me, I'm still not discounting the SVJ, but I haven't found anybody who's like, here, drive my SVJ. You know, because if I get a chance, I'm gonna drive the fuck out of someone's SVJ. Because I want to see what it's like, just the experience. But I don't think an SV and an S would give me the same experience the SVJ would. And even owners say that. The SVJ is a different level of car. Yeah. It should be, because it's in that specialty tier with the other cars. Yeah. I'm not 100% Ferrari guy. I'm a car guy. And that's why we have now the 765, the Performante, the Pista. Hell, you have a few specialty bikes that you just can't walk in the street and get, or off the street and get. And it's cool to be able to see the differences in these. Hell, Corvette makes a car. There's the Z06 that damn near everybody can go get one under $100,000. And it's a great car, great sports car, does what most people would want. Then there's what Clint has, the ZR1. And I was a huge Corvette guy. That car is next level in the Corvette fucking world.
Huge step up.
So, I mean, every line to me has that. Not every line, but when you get into these level of cars, it has something special in their brand. And if you go for that special car, it's a different feeling. These cars we're talking about and that we drive can literally wear you out physically.
And emotionally.
Yeah, definitely financially.
No, mentally, sorry.
Oh.
Yes, for sure, financially.
Yeah, but, I mean, we do an hour run, and we're excited. Our adrenaline's pumping. In about 10, 15 minutes, I don't know if you have the same thing, but the runs we put through, shit starts going through my head. Fuck, this could have went wrong. This could have went wrong.
Yeah.
But fuck, I'm in a good machine, so I trusted the machine, and it worked out. Nothing went wrong. But during that time, you're wearing yourself the fuck out.
Yeah.
After an hour there and an hour back, like, there's times where I want to nap and be like, fuck, I got to re-energize.
For sure. You know, this probably sounds crazy to some people. I mean, for those of you that are listening to this show, maybe not. But, you know, for me, I don't meditate. I don't do yoga. I don't do visualization stuff really, a little bit, but not. I don't practice it. I don't do mindfulness sessions, things of that nature. The two things that provide me with that kind of experience and balance are jujitsu, because it's a physical version of having to stay singularly and mindfully focused on one thing and nothing else. Like, nothing else is going through your mind when you're rolling with somebody except exactly what you need to be paying attention to. It's the same way in a fast car. It's the same way on a fast bike. Is that there's a level of mental attention that you have to put into it that is both exhausting and satiating. It's a weird dichotomy that way, but it is that, to Matt's point, like when you're driving and pushing the envelope in them, it's mentally exhausting. I can tell you, just in the little loop I did in the 765, it's a more exhausting car to drive than the Pista is. Some of it is because it's brand new and I'm not comfortable with it yet the way I am with the Pista, but I can just tell between getting in and out and actually driving it it's more of a handful to put up with, if that makes sense. But just like, with certain bikes that are that way, that are very raw, very emotion driven, very, visceral in how they put power down and how they ride, is that it's a harder machine to control, but when you do, it's more rewarding. And that's why I've come so full circle in what I liked early on was Mercedes and R8s and Porsches, and that were that step into the next level of fucking warp speed, but still had all the creature comforts and the tech and the comfortability. And now I don't give a fuck about any of that. I want the analog, visceral connection to the road, because it mentally wears me out in a way that business and personal relationships and family things don't. And so it balances you out that way and gives you an outlet of something to focus on, where you don't have to think, for that matter, you can't think about any other fucking thing except what you are doing and how you are doing it. And so for me, those three things, motorcycles, cars, and jiu-jitsu, provide the balance that I need. And without that, my shit's imbalanced enormously.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Golf used to do that for me, but then I started just wanting to punch everybody at the golf course. So.
Happy Gilmore, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Price is wrong, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. As far as gun reviews, I'd say we're both into guns. We both own guns. I carry one every day. Doing gun reviews on YouTube, we would basically have to start a new channel and put a different type of spin on it, honestly, because it's done different on YouTube. It's harder to show you guys things like that. I don't mind if y'all send stuff in, what our thoughts are on guns, but I don't want to sit here and show them on the channel all the time. And it's not that we're against guns in any kind of fucking way. That's my personal take on it. I don't know about yours.
I mean, for me, I'm not opposed to it. It's just, it's another kind of element that we don't do that would take more work that I don't know that we have the bandwidth for. I'll be the first to admit, I've spent a lot of time shooting and I've shot a lot of guns and I love them and I have a bunch. I don't shoot all of them very often though. And hardly ever actually. I mean, the two pistols that I carry, the 43X and the 19, I'll shoot out at my ranch house fairly regularly just to put a couple of mags through a gun and stay somewhat sharp and proficient and keep the rust from accumulating too bad. But that's really about it. I'm not into guns the way it sounds like you probably are. I'm not always looking at the next best long gun that I can put a fucking scope on and do 2,000 yard shots with and build this fucking trigger and blah. I'm just not into it that way. I'm familiar with all that stuff and I've been around it enough to be able to talk about it and could review them. I'm not into them enough for me to want to do what we would have to do to implement that into the channel. Like the cars and bikes and the Mic Drop podcast and all the other things that we do around here that we're already doing are already kind of as much as we can fucking handle. So to add guns to it, we don't have the fucking time, honestly, more than anything, but because it's a totally different thing. I can jump on a bike or a car out of our garage and go do it. Like you can't just fucking start busting caps out of your backyard. Now, when I, lived out at the ranch facility, yeah, I could, and it'd be way more feasible to do it out there. But the logistics of having to go and test them and find them and all that shit, we just don't have the time to do it.
Yeah, I'm already at a spot to where I have hardly no free time anymore.
Yeah,
and
that's about to get way fucking worse.
Yeah, and I do it, and I love doing it. So, yeah, I definitely don't need to add another element to that. On the plus side, my brother may be starting his own channel doing gun stuff. So,
shit, there you have it.
If that happens, I'll
maybe we could go on there once in a while and do reviews or something.
Pull over there. That don't look like no Ferrari trigger. I'm just fucking with y'all. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on guns. Mike's thoughts on guns, and yes, believe it or not, we do love them. Ask our friends. Next one. Fuck this guy. Where do y'all see yourself in 10 years business-wise? Well, I'd love to see myself doing more of this full-time. In all honesty, giving you guys more and more content if it's worth doing, and possibly something else in business. We preach all the time, do something you're good at or something you love and try to combine the two. Right now I do both. I just can't combine them. They just don't work out. So one day my goal in 10 years, which that would make me fucking old, I'd love to be doing this full time with more reviews and more stuff with manufacturers asking us to come drive cars and put their stuff through the paces and give them honest reviews, not these fluff pieces some of these other channels give them. I'd like to give them full, hey, I think this should change, but plumbing wise, if I'm in plumbing in 10 years, I mean, I like the slow and steady pace I'm at right now. It's hard to expand the plumbing field in Texas or the plumbing business in Texas while doing what I'm doing here. So I have to give to get. And right now my wife's doing the plumbing side. I'm here to help my guys and help her. But other than that, we can't expand while I'm doing this too. So if I gave this up, I could expand my plumbing company. If I gave up the plumbing company, we could expand this. So it's kind of a
catch-22 a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, similarly, like I'm already doing the things that I love to do on purpose, and where I see myself in 10 years is still doing what I'm doing now, just at a higher level. At the risk of that being a boring answer, I mean, that to me, that should be everybody's state of their own union, if you will. Is that, hey, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Better than I am now, but doing the same shit because I'm doing what I love, because I think everybody should do what they want to fucking do. Bueller.
I'm not even answering that next one. Y'all know this is Randy because his question's sometimes dumb as hell.
Poor Randy.
Yeah. He knows I love him. That's why there will be like 6 of these questions throughout these emails. Both of you have brothers. Are you Eskimo brothers with any of them? No, I'm not. I don't know about you.
Can you excuse my ignorance? What the fuck is an Eskimo brother?
Have y'all both banged the same chick?
No.
Yeah.
That's what the fucking Eskimo brother is?
Yeah, basically you both stick your shit in the same igloo.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, to me, and similarly to close friends, I'm not Eskimo bros with anybody that I'm close friends with. There's certain lines I don't cross.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really weird. I can tell you if my friends' chicks are cute, but you could be like, you seen that ass? Nope.
Yeah.
There's certain shit that I put on blinders to when it's really close friends. Now, if we're acquaintances, I'm looking at your chick. Just heads up. Next one. Radar detectors. Y'all use them. Recommended or just all balls?
Here's one where we have differing opinions.
Yeah. So I don't use them. The funny thing is, Mike used, which car was it? Was that the Porsche? You took the car and you left your radar detector in there?
I thought it was one where you drove the R8 when it had the twin turbos, and I was like, how was it? And you're like, well, your radar detector ruined the fucking drive.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't shut the fuck up, and that's all I could focus on.
Yeah.
That was one of the times.
Yeah. But I have one of Mike's radar detectors at my house because he was like, fuck it, leave it. You may start using them.
Yeah.
No.
You should start using them.
I don't.
I'm a huge fucking proponent of them. I love them. And I will say that the Escort is the brand that I use, and I use 2 different ones. I can't remember the fucking model names, but the one that I actually like the best as far as how it works, I mean, fuck, maybe we should even do a review on them. I don't know, but
probably should.
Yeah, but I'll give you the quick down and dirty. Is one of them has arrows. I think it's the 7 or the 700, and the other one is the 3 or 300 or 5 or 500. Something like that. I think it's the Escort 3 and the Escort 7 or something like that. But the one without the arrows is kind of the highest level one that they have without arrows. It's about $200 and some odd, maybe somewhere in there. The operation of that one is awesome. The mute buttons, the volume buttons, it's super easy. The way that it actually connects to the windshield and gets the fuck out of the way and is in a straight line and all. Like, I love that. I just wish it had arrows. The one with arrows, the arrows, I didn't realize how handy knowing which direction it's coming from was until I actually used one, and then I was just like, motherfucker, this is amazing. The arrows make a huge difference. The bitch I have with that model is that the volume buttons, which I do actually change the volume on the radar detector all the fucking time. When I'm out on the highway pushing it, that motherfucker is as high as it'll go because it has to be or I won't hear it.
Yeah.
When I'm driving around town, that shit will fucking startle you and piss you off if you're pulling up to a stoplight all nice and quiet and all of a sudden it blows your fucking eardrum out. The bitch I have with it is, number one, is that it's canted. Like where the suction cup is, the body of the unit has a bend in it, so it always looks fucking crooked no matter what angle you're at, and it drives you nuts. It's like every time you look at it, it looks like it's crooked, and it's just fucking irritating. And when you, like, the mute button is hard to get to, so if you're driving in the city and you just want to hit mute where it's not fucking beeping at you nonstop because a cop's driving by and you're doing the speed limit anyway and whatever. It's hard to get to, and sometimes you hit the GPS mark button, and then the volume button's the same thing. They're on top and they're in between two other buttons. You can't see them. You got to fiddle fuck around, and like I've ended up, going through the menu or fucking turning it off, or like it's just the operation. Whoever designed the body and the operation of that ought to have the fucking taste slapped out of their mouth because it's horrible, But when it works, those arrows are fucking awesome. So.
Yeah. Did you have arrows on that time we got a ticket when we were racing and didn't know each other?
No, that was the time that made me get a radar detector.
You're
after
welcome.
that. Yeah. So
I didn't have a radar detector that time. I didn't get a ticket. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean,
no, I honestly, I get fucking lucky as hell. Hell, just going to lunch today, we passed.
It had to be 9 fucking cops.
It was a shit ton of cops.
Yeah.
It was fucking nuts. Go to
one thing I do want to add to that is that just like with, say, the first time you got a smartphone, not that they're that complicated, but the way that you use them takes some getting used to. You do have to drive past cops and false alarms and kind of get a feeling for how they work and when they work and how they work and whatever, and pay attention to when they go off and how early and all that. It does take a little bit of practice that way. So I wouldn't just get one and fucking drop the hammer. Like, pay attention to when it beeps and when it doesn't, and when you do see cops and when it beeps and how far away and all that kind of shit. It does take a little getting used to.
Sorry, I accidentally deleted this on my iPad, so I had to turn to look at this one. Basically, what do we think of the trucker convoy? Our government have the right to freeze the accounts of the truckers or donors. Okay, so what do we think about what's going on with the convoy? So this one's going to be a little late because I'm pretty sure that's already over with, ain't it?
Well, you wouldn't know because nobody's covering it because of all the stuff in Ukraine, which, not to say that it's not important, it is, but comparatively, nobody gives a fuck about it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this before. We both think it's fucking bullshit. Do I think they have the right to freeze the accounts? No, I don't. I think it's bullshit. I think GoFundMe can go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
And I would never use them again because of what they did. I think, I think that there should be some sort of penalty or something for what they did. If you take people's donations, it should go to the intended person that organized it for wherever it's supposed to go, and they can't just jack it and give it to whoever they want. But
yeah, like they could go fund these nuts. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And what the truckers were doing up there, I fully support those guys. I mean, I can't say nothing negative about what they did. I think it's a great thing. I need to look up and actually see if it's still going on. Last I heard, we kind of started seeing that the government's starting to shut down all these mask mandates and forcing people to take all these shots and shit due to the new research coming out on the shots. So I hope it's over with. I'll research that a little bit more. Maybe we'll get into that on it'll be this Wednesday show. Maybe we'll get into that a little more. And should you use PVC primer before you use blue glue? Yes. No, I haven't upgraded to PEX yet. Yes, you should always prime your PVC before you glue, and you should also let blue glue set for a long time so it'll bond. I want to say it's a 30-minute bonding process, especially if you're using it on pressured water. That way it can handle the pressure. And you haven't switched to PEX, you should. If you want to be more profitable, you should switch to PEX. PEX is now a quarter of the price of copper and way cheaper, faster to put in, and it'll make you a lot more money. Do I think it's better than copper? No. I don't like it better than copper. I'm old school and still think copper is the way to go, but that's just me.
you don't know what I think.
What?
I don't fucking know.
You don't know.
I don't fucking know.
No. You just know that I did a water heater at your house faster than two of my guys did a water heter at another house.
Faster than a cat can lick its ass, as
Quicker
somebody
than a
might
cat.
say.
Quicker than a
I
cat
don't
can
have
lick
a
its
fucking
ass.
clue.
Well, let me check the time here. We got a lot more to answer with you guys, but we're coming up on that hour mark, and we still have a couple more things to do today. We'll go on and answer Burks real quick. Have you heard of all the TRX trucks being stolen? They're doing it at the airport. Yeah. Okay. So yes, there's actually a program out for all Chrysler vehicles. It's not just the TRXs. Chrysler's push button start is super easy to break into. The kicker with that, what a lot of these criminals don't know, I'm not even going to say it because then my luck, someone will get fucking caught stealing a car and be like, I heard that shit on Uninfluenced, and we get sued. Let's just say anybody using this same technology it's very easy to break in and steal the car. There are aftermarket processors out there right now that are making it very hard for you to get in and mess with any Dodge Chrysler products, and Fiat for that matter. It's a little plug and play between your ECU, and it works great. Other than that, you got anything on that? People stealing TRXs?
I haven't even heard that, but
It's becoming one of the most stolen trucks out right now.
that's interesting.
I mean, it tells you they're only going after that truck because of its value.
Yeah.
You could go get in the same Ram with a Hemi in it
Yeah.
and steal it. It's the same fucking system.
While I've not heard that, I mean, to your question is, would I consider that when buying? I would consider it. Would that keep me from buying it? No. I would just, be smart about where I leave it. Obviously, a TRX is different than, a hyper or supercar, in that, like, it's going to be more of a daily driver. So you're probably going to leave it in places that you wouldn't leave, some of the other cars. But
I left mine with the windows down in my driveway.
Yeah. It's something to consider for sure, but I don't think it would keep me from buying it.
No, I had a note said, "Don't break the window keys in the dash."
Yeah.
That way they know.
Driver has AIDS and bled all over the seat.
Yeah. And it's period. So that's it for this episode of Question and Answers, guys. Make sure to keep putting them in there. We may change the date that we're recording them to get a little bit closer to when they come out. That way they're more relevant to when we're answering, like the trucker situation. That's on me. So we're working on that. We'll let you know. We'll keep you posted. Make sure Ask.Uninfluenced@gmail.com. And other than that, peace, bitches.